In Mark chapter 9. Then one of the crowd answered and said, Teacher, I brought you my son, who has a mute spirit, and wherever it seizes him, it throws him down, he foams at the mouth, gnashes his teeth, and becomes rigid. So I spoke to your disciples that they should cast it out, but they could not. He answered him and said, O faithless generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I bear with you? Bring him to me. Then they brought him to Jesus. And when he saw him, immediately the spirit convulsed him, and he fell on the ground and wallowed, foaming at the mouth. Jesus said to him, If you can believe, all things are possible to him who believes. Immediately the father of the child cried out and said with tears, Lord, I believe. Help my unbelief. When Jesus saw that the people came running together, he rebuked the unclean spirit, saying to it, Deaf and dumb spirit, I command you out of him and enter him no more. Then the spirit cried out, convulsed him greatly, and came out of him. He became as one dead, so that many said, He is dead. But Jesus took him by the hand and lifted him up, and he arose. So we can see Satan has different tactics that he's putting into practice in this situation. So first of all, he's putting on a show. So he's putting on a show for the purpose of producing doubt. So when somebody's having an epileptic seizure, as it's describing here, there were seizures, there was foaming at the mouth, there was wallowing around on the ground, there was becoming rigid as though being dead or something like that. And so he's putting on a show. And so how do we know he's doing this to produce doubt? Well, because what we see is, and when the evil spirit saw Jesus, immediately the spirit convulsed him, and he fell on the ground and wallowed, foaming at the mouth. So the spirit reserved this seizure for when he was in the presence of Jesus. The spirits, they're not stupid. They're evil, but they're not stupid. So he does not want to get cast out of the boy. He wants to keep his house. And so when he saw Jesus, he's trying to produce doubt by doing all these different things, having convulsions, falling on the ground, wallowing, foaming, and all that. And so, of course, it didn't work with Jesus. It did work with the disciples. So if the Spirit did this when Jesus was going to pray for the boy, we can rightly assume that the Spirit did the same thing when the Father brought the boy to the disciples. The reason he brought the boy to Jesus was because the disciples couldn't get the job done. And so the disciples asked Jesus, why could we not cast it out? And Jesus said, because of your unbelief. And so that's the whole purpose of putting on this show, is he's trying to produce doubt.